Alright, so here we go. It's about 10 to 8 at night. We're going to go meet my girlfriend now, and I'm going to drive about 15 minutes to do that. So I'm going to drive solo for 15 minutes at least, but I'm setting off a little earlier than I should just so I can acclimatise, get myself out there. It's just another day of exposure therapy driving. It's what we do. So I was on the way to meet my girlfriend, actually do a bit of shopping first, pick up something from the supermarket, and I came by this little lay-by which is only about 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes from where I live. And I stopped over because I realised that this lay-by is the furthest I could get for about 3 months when I was driving. This is about as far as I could go. So it just goes to show right now I'm off to the other side of town, not even in town yet. I'm going to go away to the other side. It's probably about 15, 16, 17 minute journey, which to most people is something they would take for granted, but for someone with agoraphobia, of course, it's incredibly difficult to get there. So it's just sometimes little reminders like this tell you how far you've come, and you'll find them too when you get to a certain point. You come across these little, what were safety points for you, what was somewhere that you would get to and think, right, I've made it this far. And even that felt like, I remember at the time, this feeling like an amazing achievement, just getting 2 minutes out from home. So, you know, small steps. It doesn't take a lifetime to get this far, but it could take a lifetime to get better. And it's something I know I'm going to be working on for the rest of my life. But I've come to terms with that, and I'm actually relatively happy with that fact that agoraphobia is something which I may well be working around and working towards getting better on for the rest of my life. I'm okay with that. But just, yeah, little funny reminder, came by this spot, pulled over, thought, man, this used to be the most difficult part of my life, just driving 2 minutes down the road and pulling over in a lay-by, thinking that my heart was going to pop out my chest. But I'm sure you've all been there. Maybe you suffer with agoraphobia, so yeah, just little victories. Okay, so I just pulled up at Aldi supermarket. It's wow, it's crazy to think as well, just another little stepping stone right there, just another landmark. There was a time when just going into any shop was an absolute nightmare, something which I would not do. Or at least I'd have to have someone on the phone with me. I remember the first time I got into a shop and the first thing I had to do was call someone. So I was on the phone to someone the entire time just to try and keep my mind out of the situation I was in, which is just typical, absolutely typical for people like us. So now I'm going to go in the supermarket. You know, late at night it is a lot easier. It's 8 o'clock now, 10 past 8 now, so it is a lot easier for me to go into a supermarket at this time of night because it is quieter, I'll be honest. But and I do still struggle with daytime supermarket runs, but I can still do them. Just another bit of freedom that you gain back. So there we go. But yeah, drove here 15 minutes. Lovely British Maytime weather seeing me through. And yeah, so things could be worse. So if you struggle with driving or anything like that, or if you find driving to be a stressful situation for you, that's totally normal if you've got agoraphobia. But write down below how you managed to get through it, or how you plan to get through it, because a lot of people watching are probably going through it right now. For me personally, as you can tell from before, it's literally just a case of getting through one step at a time, getting to that lay-by from before and just like parking there and letting it soak in for ages, and then eventually I'd go a bit further and eventually a bit further and eventually a bit further. It took me well over a year to get to where I am now, with some good support from friends and family. But if you're going through the same thing, if you've got any tips of how to progress even further or faster, let me know. This is just typical exposure therapy. But here we are. We're doing it. So it's the morning after, and spend the night at my girlfriend's house. Basically, yet another thing that's changed since doing some exposure therapy and practicing my driving is that I have been able to even do this. At first, it was something that I couldn't do. Something which was really difficult to do, and one of the, staying the night, because the next day I knew I'd have to drive home. So I'd spend all night panicking about the fact that I'd have to do that journey the next day. One of the ways that I did solve that was, initially, I would make sure my girlfriend had a phone on in case I needed to call her, and again, like, those phones are a real crutch in the beginning. Makes me wonder how people ever got by with agoraphobia before mobile phones. But over time, of course, it's just one of those things with exposure therapy that you don't need those crutches anymore because your mind gets used to it. So it's just one of those things, yet just another thing that initially was really, really difficult, and then over time I was able to do. And again, at first I used crutches. I don't think there's anything wrong with using crutches at first, especially with something as big as driving, because for me at least it worked. Using those crutches in the beginning ended up me then eventually being able to not use those crutches and having a very successful time with driving. And of course all of this has led me to be able to book the trip around Europe this summer, which is the first time I've been out of the country in 10 years, which is a driving trip going all the way to Gdansk and back. So, it's gone from me not being able to leave the house, me only being able to go to the little lay-by 2 minutes from my house with my girlfriend, to now we are going to be going around Europe in a couple months' time, driving, like a 40-hour trip. And along the way I did use crutches, along the way it was difficult, but I don't think there's anything wrong with that because it's led me to where I am today. So in short, driving has been a success over time, and using crutches is fine. Yeah, just take it at your own pace, but you'll get there. It's taken me in total maybe a year and a half to get to where I am now. It's been a real long, tricky journey, but driving has definitely been the one thing that has given me the most freedom. Alright.